Hey all, welcome to another video of cleaning the household stuff. Today we are going to see how to clean the Lasko Tower Fan. And as you guys can see when I'm moving close, it has all the dust inside. And when the fan rotates, the dust air is what is going to come out for us. So we are going to see how we are going to clean this today and take you to a step by step. And that's how the fan looks in the back as well. So as you see, there is a rotor inside which is full of dust. So to start the process, first we need to unscrew all these wherever they are. So these are the locations of these screws in the tower fan. It's going to be a very easy and a simple process. Let's go in and see how to get it done. Okay, make sure the fan is laid flat, the back of the fan facing you. And a quick tip, there is a glossy buttons in the front if you guys noticed. So for that not to scratch, you can use a small rag and lay it flat on the top. And the total number of screws that we are going to remove from the back is this kind of screws is totally 16 of them. 2, there is a 4th, there's 6, 8, and then either sides 10, and then you have another either side 12, and then you have 2 for the top, so totally 16. Now start off from the base. You will find these kind of 3 Phillips screws which you can just unscrew them with your finger, but if you need, you can use a Phillips screwdriver to get it done. So that's one down. That's 2. First, you have to get the base down, and once the base is out, then we should be able to be good. Now you have 2 more screws which you need to remove to get the base separated because they are attached together. One over here and one right down the other side. And now come to the other end of it, and now you can hold the fan here so it doesn't fall off or break. So both the screws are out. Now take the cord out of this passage and get it off your way. Now this is the 3rd screw which we need to remove. You can use the same Phillips screwdriver. Once you loosen it a little bit, you can just unscrew with your hand. It's that easy. And if you guys notice, I'm still holding the fan. So this is the purpose why we need to hold the fan. So when you remove the screw, it doesn't fall off and break the plastic. So now you can leave the fan resting down and take the cable out of it. So now, as we said first, the fan base is separated. Now we have to remove the 16 screws which we saw at the beginning. Okay, now we are going to remove the 16 screws like this, and the fan will be wobbly because it's not a flat one, so it will be hard for us to work. So the base that we removed, you can just put it on one side so it just supports the fan like this. So you can have it so the fan is no more wobbly. And now for this you cannot use a Phillips screwdriver, you need something like this, which is a T15 as it showed here. And you don't need to, if yours is magnetized, you may be able to take it out fully. the screw out once you unscrew it, but if not, if you feel loose, it's okay, you can leave it there. So now I'm going for the second one. Yeah, as I said, this is magnetized, so it still has the magnet that came out. And then coming to the center over here. That's a third. And then we are going to the other side. Okay. This one is unscrewed, but it's not coming out, so that's okay, it's loosened. Now we'll go to the top of it. This is also the same, it's loosened now. And now to the topmost one. And repeat the same 8 spots on the other side of your fan, and then I'll show you how to open it up. So as I said, we have removed the 16 screws. You may see one or two inside, but they are loosened up. So the first thing is, if you are opening it for the first time, you will see a sticker that's on the side like this, which is holding the two layers. So you can peel it off on one side, and then if you slowly start lifting the fan, you will get the loose of the screws, and then you can open this outer cover first. And in case if you feel little tight, just try to unscrew the screws because it may be holding still like this. So at times when you lift and you unscrew it, it's easy for you to get them out as well. And then slowly work your way through. And if you want to, you can even push it from the bottom once you get it opened. And now you see how the fan, the total top has been out. And the screws which we loosened have just fallen off. And that's how the inside of your fan, the Lasko fan, will look in. And I'm going to show you how to get these parts out as well. Now for this to be getting, it's a little easier, but make sure the cables are not broken. You see how much dust it is. After opening the fan, you can see how much dust is there inside and how the oscillating the blades are. And that's the dust which is going to spin around in your home, especially if you have kids or people who have some breathing issues. This is going to add up to them. So to remove this and clean this, first we need to get the outer layer. That's where the fan, the air is being circulated. So to remove that, we need to take these 1, 2, 3 and the fourth screw as well for that. The next step, what we are going to do is we are going to remove the full tower fan, the spinning one, which is, you will, if you rotate, say for example, if it's like this, just keep rotating. You will find the screw that's holding, like as you see here, to the base. And if you come right to the top of it, there are two more screws which hold them to the base, which is this one and one on the other side. So once we remove these three screws, we will be able to take the fan out. So that small one is at the bottom is out, and now we have to remove the two on the top. One is out. Now when they both are out, you can lift the fan, because this is the place where you need to lift it. When you lift it, and this piece comes off, and that's the dust that's collected, and now you can just slide it from the base, and that's out and is ready for cleaning. Once we take the fan out, the next what we are going to do is we are going to remove these four screws from here. And again, for this also you can use the Phillips screwdriver. It's been a while since I have cleaned this fan, so once I remove it, I can show you how much dust is on the sides and how sticky the dust is to the fan. So once you get all these four, you can just lift this. But as you can see, that's the kind of oil and from the motor that's coming in, and the dust, it settles in, and this is the motor oil, and everything comes up and holds the dust to the fan. And that's also ready for cleaning now. Now once you're done with those four, the next part is you can take this piece out from here so that it's not on your way, but make sure you are holding this and don't cut any of the cables, because the small capacitor is also attached to the motor for it. And now we can remove this round base so we can work it a little easier. And to remove that, you need to remove the two screws on either side. Once they are out, you can just, and there is one more in the center to hold it onto the firm. So the two on the side and one in the center. And once these three screws are out, we can go ahead and place this on the side. And now this is the cable that goes to the capacitor. So for you to remove those, you have to remove these two screws which holds that up. And you can work the other way around as well. Like I first showed you how to remove the spinning blade and then the base, but if you're comfortable, you can start off from the base as well. So those are out. And now to remove the motor from this, you have two screws at the base here. We need to access those two and keep pushing the blade motor from the front. So if not, you're going to keep on working, but if you're giving a firm push, it's easy for you to get them off. Once that's done, that's also ready for us. And now this is the cable which goes all the way to the control panel that's in the front of your fan where you press it. So to access that, as you can see, you have two screws on the top here. So hold the fan, the body of it. And once you are done with those two, you should be good to get this off. So we can remove this, just pull it away from the fan, these four, and you have one on the top. So for this, just pull it at the back. And then once all this is down, you can just take this off. So as you see, the outer panel is also out of it. Now it's much more easy for us to access this place, clean it fully, and it's good for us to get it off. Okay, so I have cleaned everything. You guys can wash it, and then this is how now the fins look, and this is how the blades, and this is how this piece right now looks. And make sure if you are washing, you can just rinse using your shower, but make sure all these holes are free from water, because when you tighten the screw again, the screw may get rusted. So make sure they are good. Now let's see how we are going to put it together. And for putting it together, let's start from the base. So make sure this hole and this one aligns, and you will hear a sound like a clicking sound, especially when you're fixing it in the center. And you can also see all the three holes right here. And let's go ahead and start it. And again, we can use the same Phillips screwdriver which we used to remove it. And don't tighten it all the way fully right now, because make sure you are getting the other edges correctly, and go on the sides first, and then you can come to the center. As you see, I don't tighten it fully, because then if you have to pull it on one side, if it's not aligned correctly, then there is a possibility of the plastic breaking, the housing. Then if that breaks, you will not be able to put it together, then you are going to buy a new fan then. So just make sure it's not too tight right at the beginning itself. And once you feel like all three are aligned, then go ahead and tighten them together. And don't over tighten it. Again, it's the plastic on the sides, so it may get broke. So if you feel it's secure, it's good. Okay, and I haven't plugged it in because we are still assembling it, so don't plug it to the wall right now. As you can see, you have to have this aligned, because after the base, it's this the generator which comes in, and then the motor comes in. But I would first say attach the motor first, because you need access for the screws to be tightened. So that's an easier way, because you need access here. Now if you already fixed this, then it's going to be tough for you to align this. So have the screws here, and then it will be helpful for you to align it. Just one or two screw thread in, and then come to the other side. And for the entire process, I may repeat again, don't tighten it fully unless that part has been like full. You got it on both the sides. You see how I'm struggling now, because I have the wiring here. So that's one reason why I was telling, like, don't put the generator in between, which can be fixed later. And hold the motor towards the base so you can tighten it fully. Now coming back to the other side. Yeah. And there you go. And you make sure this wiring is on the top. And for the fan, this box piece, the generator, you have to go, you cannot go like this, because what happens if you go like this will be blocking at the base where it's high. So you can go like this and align it. And now also the same thing, you just need two screws for that. And one, I have halfway through. I can see the other end as well. And that's another. Now since I have a free flow of the screw pattern, so I can go ahead and tighten it fully. Now that your base and everything is set. And now if you come back here, if you remember, we do remove this part from here. So we are going to tighten it with one of the screws back here. Okay. Now since that's done, now we can go ahead and try to put, you have to just make sure this is correct. You are able to get that length. Yes, so which means these cables are not, everything is like good, in good position. Now you can have the cables outside. Now these are tightened good. Now I would recommend first these, the cover, the outer cover, to go first, because you can see the clips right now, the holes right here where it snaps on the top. So totally 5 snaps on. So just lift it gently and then you can just go, and you should be able to see all the 5 right here. So if you see all the 5 in the right location, just start snapping on, and you will hear a clicking sound of it, which means you're good. And that's it. So all the 5 is good now. So now the next part what we will be doing is we have to go ahead and fix this one which we removed from this side of the fan. And if you are like, how do I remember this? Because this is a bigger one, and for a remembrance, this part which is attached to the motor will go to this, so it cannot go on the side, as you see. So this will be on this side, the smaller one will be on this side. So just make sure you have all these 4 aligned, and now you can just use the same Phillips screwdriver for this also. I got halfway through, and again the same principle like how we removed it. Now go one on the bottom and one on the top, so you are aligned correctly. Because what happens if you go all in one, it may just crossed and then you have to like redo it. And make sure there is no water, because end of the day it's a fan which is going to be plugged into electric. So make sure it's all dried out. If you are a little scared, you don't need to wash it. You can simply go ahead and wipe it with wipes, or even a wet rag should do. Okay, that's good now. Again, same like how I said when we are removing it. If you are very good in controlling the drill machine, you can try to use the battery connected power motor one, but I would prefer a manual because these are thin plastics. And now you have to align it. Now you can see the curves which goes right here. So that's why this curve cuttings are. And then once you are aligning it, you will see the 4 holes that's aligned in the back right here. And I would recommend before doing this, take this part and plug into this, the 2 holes. Just like that, you should be able to see that. And don't pull it too back because this is a very short cable. So try to keep it as close as possible. Just run out 2 threads and then just hold it straight. You should be able to get this snuggled because there is a small hole right here which aligns to the plastic, and it also goes like this. So now we are in a good spot. So now we'll just realign this one and make sure the cables are not tucking in. And before you align this, just make sure this one goes in as well. So you can bring the cable in between this. That's the pathway for the cable of the top. So the cable has been twisted. Okay, now you see how it is. So this will go in between this slot along with this cable, and then just go and start putting it together. Very well. Now we need 4 screws back here. That's good. And now I'm going to go on the top, and that's aligned automatically. That's a half through. I'm going to go to the second one. That was good. And now to the fourth on the top. That's tight. That's also good. And that's good. Now we got the one. Now we just need to get the spinner. So as you see in the motor, this one, the pedestal which holds it, it will be fully circle, except there will be a small flat part like this. And that flat part is where we are going to hold this, and you can have this one as well installed in between this. So we have to get it in this way because it has to get inserted here. So what we have to do, like make sure there is a hole in this one as well. So keep that hole on the top and then just keep sliding it. Once you see it's in the center, and you can align this also here so that it's seated properly. So now before you tighten it, just try to spin it by holding the fan, and it spins freely. So no obstructions, none of these are blocking. It's not touching anywhere, and you have enough space. So that's why we are trying to spin and see whether it's blocking anywhere. Now we can go ahead and tighten these. And of all the screws, the most smallest one, that's the one which will go to this in this center here. And make sure you give a nice tight in this because it spins with the motor. And now once that's snuggled in, now we are going to come back on the top and make sure these are also secured. And these you can tight on the first go itself because there is no alignment. It's already, we can see that is very clearly sitting in the right circle. Okay. So we got this guy done. Now it's like fully good. Now you guys see how we snapped on this. After the snap on, either you can tighten the screws for them, but I prefer to put it at the end, but it's up to you. If you want to, you can have it on the after you snap it on right away, you can tighten it. Just give a hold from there. So that's good. Just move two on either sides. Now if you want to, I would recommend to put it at the first as soon as you snap it on, because what happens when you're trying to put these two here with all this, it may be a little tough. So before you are assembling this, you can do this, or I prefer just doing it at the end. Okay. Now we do have these to be snapped on, even though we have clipped back together like as in this spot. So you will see a perfect joint. You won't see any gap, which means you're on either sides, which means you have put this together correctly. Now just use the screws to make sure that's tight as well to the base. And now all the internal parts have been fixed correctly of the fan. So now we can go on and cover it up. But before you do that, just make sure we have got it correct. One last time the spin before we close it up. No rubbing sounds or all are free flowing. That's good. So make sure you're tucking all these cables inside. So when you see how it was covered earlier. So make sure the cables are not blocking the screw holes. So all that is good. And this is, as we spoke, this cable is right in between this, how it seamlessly goes in. So that's good. And now we can just go ahead and slide it in. So this one you have to like go like this because there is an internal cut. So you can just go like this and then just goes. And then you can just come back and align this as well. And make sure it snuggles everywhere. That's a good tight gap. Okay, both the sides when you hold it should be like this, and once you feel on both the sides you are ready to go ahead and tight using the 16 screws that we removed at the first. And again for this one you have to use the T15 as it shows here. We are going to use the T15 screws, which is the 16 ones. So again the same thing, don't tight all at one shot, just go ahead, get it halfway through, and there you go. And then in this I will not work on one side, I would recommend working parallelly on both the sides. Okay, so now we got all the 16 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm sorry, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the same 8 on the other side. Now the fan has been fully secured. Now what we are going to do is we are going to attach the base. In the base you will see two things. One is called rear. It will be written on it. So that goes on the back side of the fan. There is a small hole in the front which will be fixing to this one right here. So as you see at the bottom. So that's how you will make sure that you're aligning it right. So now for that to be done, and also if you notice the front portion is a little larger and the back portion is little small in size. So make sure you're aligning it right. So we'll get the cable through this hole first so that we don't have any problem. Fine. And as you can see, now you can just lift the fan and you will see at the bottom here this goes right in this hole. which will automatically bring the rear to the correct position. So having done that, now let's go ahead and secure the screws in the back, and for which first let's go on with the bigger ones. So these are the 4 primary ones. Okay, now once you align it, you will see the 4 cylindrical screws for here, the silver holes. So which means you can just go ahead and snuggle it. I've got the one. Now I'm going to go on the opposite side. That's number 2. Oops. And I'm going on the other side now. That's number 3. And the last one to secure it. So just tighten it. If you want, you can use the Phillips screwdriver using the holes, but I believe I have snuggled it right. It's tightened. Now hold the cable and then you can move it like this so it slides in easily. So don't try to go flat, then it's going to be too thick because the hole here is a smaller one. So turn it sideways, and if you want the cable like this, just turn it and then just give a gentle push, and then it's fit inside, so the cable doesn't lay outside. So that's got there. Now we have last 2 screws that needs to be tightened, which we removed from the base right here. So these 2 screws are the one which hold, actually it's a 2 half pieces, the bases. If you want to take that off, you can take that off, but this is what holds the 2 pieces together in one position. And that's it. Now we got the fan fully cleaned. Now I can show you in the front as well. That's how it looks. And now I'm going to tilt it up so you can see how it is. First how dirty it was, all the dust and everything, but now it should be a clean fan. And you can use this for adjusting your vent tilt, like if you want it downwards, if you want it flat, if you want it upwards, you can use this so the internal flaps will be opening. Please leave your comments and suggestions, and also please look into my other videos, and if you like it, subscribe. If you have any feedback, please leave that as well. Thanks for watching.